And we are live. What's good, Charles? Your man Dale Saint. Welcome. So I really want to know podcast, man. How y'all feeling? What's good? Man, happy Monday, guys. I hope all is well on your end. Things are pretty good here. Um, yeah, as you can see, I'm playing around with the producing stuff, like starting a 30-second countdown. We got the intro, we got the outro. Um, I'm toying around with music. YouTube allows you to use some copyrighted music on the YouTube app. StreamYard, you can't do that, but you could upload music to StreamYard, and I've been using free apps to do that. So, I'm getting busy with the production side of things. We're gonna, continue to try to make the best, um, give the best quality, the best production we can do. And when I say we, I mean me. But it is what it is. Um, I'm still working to get myself a camera guy who can. I want to go out and get some live interactions, and I want to go do some interviews and stuff like that outside of the studio. Working on that. Hopefully I'll have that all sorted out by next month. I know it's like a week away, but that's what I'm shooting for. Just trying to make things happen, man. So I hope everyone enjoys what we're doing. We're gonna just keep it rocking. Brother Dinosaur's in the building. What's good, fam? He was like, DL, FYI, did you hear about Democrat Senator Bob Menendez and his wife has been charged with taking bribes from 3 New Jersey businessmen married in 2020 and both looking at 45 years. Yeah, bro. And like I said in the chat, man, this ain't the first time, bro. He's no stranger to it. And when it comes to American politics, bro, if you know these people names, man, real talk, they're bought and paid for, man. Like we should not know who the senator of Jersey is, in the rest of the world, even here in America. Like, I don't really care who the senators from the different states are, but this guy's like, OG politician, been around forever. I believe he was under investigation for briberies. I think he might have even been indicted before, but he beat it. This one looks pretty rock solid, but, we're going to talk about that on Downrange Podcast. I'm going to start doing, I can simulcast. I just realized that I can actually do Downrange Podcast and I can simulcast on here and on that platform at the same time. So I'm going to start, I'm going to continue to do that. And I'm probably going to do some shorts about it. Definitely want to talk about Menendez. Like, the American political system is so dirty. It always has been, but now people don't even seem to care. You look at Clarence Thomas, you look at Menendez, you look at Trump, you look at Biden and the family. Like, it just goes on and on and on and on. Hopefully one day something will change, but man, right now it hasn't changed at all. We got the Young Knights in the building. Brother Jack Black, what's good, fam? Good to see you. Glad you're here. Thanks for coming through, bro. Appreciate that. And Brother Dino's like, nope. She got convertible Benz and no show job. I think she targeted him. Nah, bro, dude's dirty, man. Like, dude's dirty. It's one of the worst kept secrets in politics here in America. Dude is dirty. There are a lot of politicians out here that are dirty, man. Political affiliation means nothing. Like, it is that much money in Washington, bro. Everybody on the take. It's just this dude took it too far. You know what I mean? They were pulling money out of his clothing, bro. Like, I haven't, we're definitely gonna do a show on it. I'm gonna have to do it on this platform and then, also broadcast on Downrange at the same time. But dude, they went through just like Trump. Hey, we're looking for those documents with Trump, and they found the documents like shoved inside of, clothing and stuff like that. They found money shoved inside of envelopes that were inside of clothing, man. And like, if I'm not mistaken, according to the reports, it was, hundreds of thousands of dollars cash, and they found gold bars. And a lot of this has to do with businessmen who with ties to India. So, and then they go back to, people getting him to do things, bring things to the floor. Like, he's in charge of a really powerful committee. I forget which one, but again, this guy's OG politician. He's been caught before, but he was able to get from under it. This time, I don't know if he's going to get from under it. We'll see. He might beat this case too. You know what I mean? Like, he might beat it. Like I said, bro, there's a lot of money in politics, man. You're talking about, think of how much money they got, how much money they didn't catch. Over $500,000, bro, cash and in gold. Like, they have the gold bars, man. If you go back, like, you look at the indictment and then you look at what they found, they got pictures of that stuff, man, as part of the evidence. The money, they got the envelopes they found the money in, fingerprints on the envelopes where the money, the ties to the business guys they were looking at. Like legally, as far as an investigation goes, they got him. How is it going to play out in the courts? Don't know. You know what I mean? I don't know. But we're going to do it, man. We'll probably do it on, let's do it Wednesday, bro. We're going to do it on Wednesday because tomorrow we have a young brother, a young sharp brother that I found on YouTube and hit him up on Instagram who's agreed to come on and do an interview. His name is Jimmy Zhao. He's going to be talking about the sneakerhead business, the sneaker resale business. Like, they sell the athletic shoes. We call them gym shoes. People call them sneakers, Nikes and whatever. He's part of that world. He's going to be on tomorrow. We're going to talk about the resale business. And one of his YouTube thumbnails is, I'm 19 and I made $100,000 selling sneakers or whatever. And I've been looking at some of his content, and I am looking forward to this interview tomorrow. This young brother's out there killing it. He's not the only one, and he'll be able to talk to us about that world out there, man. They're getting it. It's some young kids out there getting it. It's so many ways to make money. When I was coming up, man, you had to get like a paper route or something like that. But these kids, 19 years old, making $100,000 just reselling sneakers. And I got interested in this subject because of Rami the Icon. If you guys don't know who that is, he's a young kid who is YouTube famous based on his line of work. He works in one of those buy, sell, trade sneaker shops. I guess that's what they do now. People come in, they trade in their shoes, and they get store credit or they can get cash money. We used to do that with albums back in the day. Now they're doing it with these, with shoes. And this is, again, a young kid, just kind of watching his content, never heard of it. And it's just fascinating. He has a camera set up at his workplace. He works in this high-end, I'm not going to call it high-end, but I'm going to call it a very famous, very popular shoe store. And they just deal with sneakers, right? He has a camera set up, and he just sits there, and it's just him interacting with people coming in to, make trades or get money for their shoes or whatever. And he just sits there and he, does this thing. It's like once you start watching him, man, you can't stop. And I'm so, shout out to that guy, man. Give him
It'll be like,
wrong button. Let me give him a shout out. Shout out to Rami, the guy, the icon. And so I went looking for someone that I could talk to. This young kid right here, the icon kid, he has like millions of subscribers. I didn't reach out to him. Maybe he would have been open to it, but I didn't. But I did find brother Jimmy Zhao, and he's like, yeah, man, I'll come talk to you about it. So I think it'll be fascinating, guys. Make sure y'all guys are here tomorrow for that, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time right here. And we're going to get a look into that world of the sneakerhead, bro, the sneaker resale business, man. It's going to be cool. It's going to be real cool. So yeah, we're going to check that out. And then brother Dino was saying the big dummy Googled how much is a gold bar worth. That's facts, bro.
You big dummy. You're a big dummy there. I'm not
big
kidding.
dummy.
You're a big dummy. Dummy. Listen to a dummy.
Yeah, that's dude right there, man. He's a big dummy, man, for doing that. Facts. Like, how much is a gold bar worth? Just use somebody else's phone. I don't want to tell people how to get away with crimes, but I will say this. If you know you dirty, they're going to look at all your information, bro. Right? They're going to look at all your information. So be careful what you look up on your phones and all that good stuff, man. It's crazy, bro. Brother Nighties is in the building. What's good, fam? Good to see you. You know what I mean? Salute to you, bro. So yeah, man, we're gonna get into this episode today, man. The end of no fault divorce. There's a lot of talk about that. It's been going on, I guess, for a couple years now. Guys, I've been saying there's going to be changes to the American family law system, right? And my whole premise was, as women are making more money and they begin to get hit with these child support orders, alimony orders, and stuff like that, having to pay men, my thought was that they're not going to stand for that. They're going to band together and make some changes politically. And I figured that was going to happen within the next, 5 to 20 years, somewhere in there, right? Like a generation. Looks like it's happening way faster than I thought it would. You look at states like Florida where they eliminated completely forever alimony. You look at states like Tennessee where looking at if a couple is not married and you come into family court, that it's a mandatory DNA test to determine who both parents are. Of course, you know who the mom is, but to determine who the father is. That looks like that's going to be some sort of law in Tennessee. And then out of Texas and some other states, they're looking at eliminating the no fault divorce. irreconcilable differences and stuff like that. So basically just going, I want a divorce for whatever reason, get a divorce. Some states are starting to look at that. Why is that a big thing? What does all this mean? You know what I mean? That's what we're going to talk about today. Because a lot of this stuff I didn't know much about, man. I didn't know much about. So that's what we're going to talk about, man. This should be a pretty good show. If anything is going to be informative, because I actually was doing some reading. I'm like, bro, I didn't know that. So, hey, man, let's get into it. And we are live. What's good, y'all? Welcome to the I Really Want to Know podcast, y'all. Get some indeed. Shout out to Shushu for making that. I'm always giving her props, man. I think she did a really good job. And I've been watching her Instagram. I don't know if you guys are like plugged in with Shushu's Instagram. I'm gonna have to link it. Maybe tomorrow I'll link it in there. I'll remember to put it off to the side so I can link it. Man, she's doing great things. Like she's like really good at her editing. Her editing skills are just like insane right now. And she uses a pro level editing tools. So she's like, she can edit movies, guys. Like, so if you need an editor, y'all need to holler at Shushu. I'm going to put her Instagram up when I get it. Hopefully tomorrow, I'm gonna have her Instagram up and get her website to her editing website. So if you guys need any work done, please go holler at her. She can take care of you. Her prices are very reasonable and her turnaround time is outstanding. She doesn't screw around, bro. She gets it done. I'm gonna have to send her some more work. I ain't gonna lie. I'm like, yo, she's fire. So shout out to Shushu, man. That's my people. And speaking of Shushu, she's gonna be on next week. We're gonna come on next week, and we're working on what the topics we're gonna have. I got an idea for a topic. I think it'd be pretty good. We're gonna, I send her some stuff. We'll see what she says. But more likely it'll be next Thursday. Not this Thursday, but a week from Thursday, we'll have Shushu on. So make sure you guys are here. I know y'all get tired of seeing my ugly face, but whenever we bring Shushu, everybody gets excited. Like, ooh, you know what I mean? Everybody come out to shoot they shot. They just be, you know what I mean? They just be here. I think it's hilarious. But Shushu here, and everybody wants to say something now.
Holla, 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 holla. Let me holler at you. Let me holler.
That's all we get. Let me holler at you. Let me holler. Shushu there. Let me holler at you. That's all we get, which is hilarious. But she's amazing to talk to, and she's, like, man, I'm just so grateful that she's willing to, come onto this platform and, do over 2 hours of streaming with me, man. So be looking for that. Be looking for the thumbnail. We should have that thumbnail up by Friday at the latest. I'm trying to get ahead of it, guys. It's so much I'm trying to do. And this is for brother Dino. Dude, I am so old and out of shape. Right? Real talk, guys. I can't do 10 proper push-ups right now. That's how bad I've let myself go. Anybody out there who's old, if you're in your 40s or up, if you're definitely in your 50s, you must get out there. You must get out there. Don't sit around. Fight the urge. Get your sleep. Put yourself on a good schedule. Don't be like me. Right now, I'm fighting to get out of this slump or just bad schedule I have. I've always been like more of a nocturnal person. I like being up at night, but I have to be up in the morning to take my daughter to school. So I'm like messing up my sleep schedule, and it's really hurting me. It's hurting me. So tomorrow, I just looked up another place. There's a boxing gym that just opened up real close to me, like about less than 2 miles. Tomorrow I'm going there. I'm gonna see what I can, get in there. I want to get into that gym at least once a week, and then I will be working out twice a week in the gym. I get my cardio from the boxing gym, so that's 3 times a week minimum. I'll be working out. I am so ashamed of myself and so embarrassed, man. I can't do 10 proper push-ups, yo. It's disgusting. It really is. I was talking to Jay Swans about it, and he tore into me. That's all I needed. I needed that. I needed him tearing into me. I needed that good old airborne motivation, man, from an old Ranger. That dude was like all over me, bro. So tomorrow I'm making it happen. And you know what? It's so easy, guys, to fall into that as we get older. Like I'm retired. I don't have any place I must be. The only thing I have to do is get my daughter to school and bring her back. So the rest of the day is wide open and I'm wasting so much of the day. There's so much I could be getting done. I still do stuff, but I could be doing, oh man, I think I'm working at like 30% of capacity. 30% barely. I'm barely at 30% capacity right now. I need to be out there. I need to be 90, 95% capacity right now. And I'm not. And it only hurts me. You know, I mean, we're talking health wise, bro. It really hurts me. Like the fact that my arms have gotten so small, my chest has gotten so small. Like I'm starting to look frail. It's like, nah, bro. I mean, I could put my clothes on or whatever, you can hide it, but I want to be able to take my shirt off, even as an old man. I want the young girls to be like, ooh, he's still cute. You know what I mean? Even as, ooh, he a sexy old man. Right now, they just be like, oh, you need some help. You know what I mean? Probably want to help me across the street or something. Scam Likely's in the building. What's good, fam? It's like you must be in the damn gym. Yeah, you got to be in the gym, bro. And I want to say it was about 8 months ago is when I really stopped. Maybe a year. Like I really stopped going religiously, and man, my body is hurting. My body is hurting. Bottom line, period. So, and it's hurting because I'm not doing anything. If you let yourself waste away, you will waste away, people. So if you care about folks and you're like your mom, your dad, your uncles or whatever, brothers, sisters, don't let them sit around. Make them get up. Go in there and make your parents get up at least once a week. Like, come on, take a walk with them. Get them out the house. Buy them a dog. Get them something that makes them get up and do something, right? Make them babysit. Do something to make them get up. And if they give you a hard time, they're like, I don't feel like doing nothing. They're like, well, fine. I'm finna go down here to the funeral home and buy you a casket. What color do you want? Be hardcore with them. Let them know. Like, I'm doing this because I love you. I need you to get up. I need you to I need you to eat right. I need you to make sure you're getting your sleep. Do all that. Cause I ain't gonna lie. I got mad at myself. I got mad at myself and I'm putting it out there so you guys can hold me to account. And his brother Dino, I want to thank you. And Cody is King. I want to thank you too. He's probably not in the chat yet, but I want to thank y'all because I'll put this stuff out and y'all remind me. You know what I mean? Y'all definitely remind me. So thank you, bro. Like I said, man, I'm coming to London, man, or wherever you are in UK. I'm gonna buy you a proper drink, like, cause I owe you one, brother. Thank you so much for holding me to account. And now we're gonna have Scam Likely getting on me too. Like, come on, man, let's get out and do something. Let's go run. Which you need. This is why you need a village. This is why you need a clan. If you're a man, this is why you need that to help you better yourself, right? This is, to me, this is what this whole space, this Mantle Swamp, this red pill movement, this is what it's all about. It's for men, especially to get themselves together and hold themselves accountable. And women can come into this space and just learn. They can see, okay, there are guys out there who are trying to get better. There are guys out there who realize they can improve themselves and they're doing it. And that's what's up. You know what I mean? Because I do get tired of hearing people say how dudes ain't nothing. All dudes are garbage. All women are garbage. It is what it is. And brother Dino's like, DL, you find the right day, time, fitness class, and you'll get that motivation. Bro, I'm going down to this. I'm gonna drop my daughter off at school tomorrow. I'm gonna drive down to this gym. I'm gonna see what's up. I'm gonna get the tour, whatever, because I want to use it for cardio. It's a straight up boxing gym. I want to be able to hit the heavy bag, speed bag, but really I want to be like shadow box. You know what I mean? Hit the ropes, do the cardio. You know what I mean? Do push-ups, sit-ups, or whatever. I just want to use it for cardio, and then I'll weight train. Just literally, the gym is. I can walk to my gym. My neighborhood is at Scam Likely. I tell you, it's like literally right down the street. I can walk to it. I have no excuses at all for me not going into the gym. Yeah, my body hurts. Like I was trying to do these push-ups, man, like shoulders, biceps, tricep, my wrist, so much pain. And that's my fault for not using my body. If you don't use it, it's going to break down. So I'm definitely going to get that. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to hit that, bro. I'm going to hit that hard. So do your gym include classes and monthly subscription? Yeah, like my insurance, my health insurance pays for my gym, any gym I want to go to, really. And they do have classes and stuff like that. So but I really want to hit that bag. I really want to do the boxing thing. I definitely want to do that. So I'm gonna do that at least, like I said, once a week. I'll be in the gym doing the boxing thing. I think they charge $100 a month. I'll, pay the money, $100 a month to be a part of that gym. And then I have my gym where I weight train. That'll be 2-3 days a week. That, once a week I'm in the gym boxing, getting that cardio, and then I'll weight train, in the gym by myself. I have all the workout regimens. I have them all written down. Got it. And then, I'll start walking, like just kind of walk again. I love walking. I'm the guy, I can hump anywhere. Man, I can go. So I'll, get back to walking like on weekends. I'll walk a lot. Hopefully I can find me a camera guy and I'll be able to go get some more content and just make it all work out. But sitting around being lazy, man, I'm telling you, that is not it. Is not it. You need to do those lady press ups. I can't do it. I can't do it. I'm gonna be out there. I might be out, you're supposed to be like this when you do your push-up. I might be all over the place, but I'm not doing the lady one, bro. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. And yeah, and Scam is right. And salsa, absolutely. I haven't been going dancing either. That's another thing. I haven't been going dancing. So I'm, get back to my normal routine. I'm dancing on Friday nights and then doing everything else I need to do. I can even get content where I dance. I could talk to the owner, I could talk to the bouncers, talk to the bartenders. I can get some pretty good content, so you're going to watch the transformation right here, guys. I'm telling you right now, y'all going to watch the transformation. I'm going to be out there making it happen. Again, if I could do it in my 50s, these young kids in their 20s ain't got no excuse, man. So, all right, I just want to get that out there. Done with that. So let's get into what we came here to talk about, the end of no-fault divorce. So, what is no-fault divorce? What? No more Avalon Wednesdays or Fridays, bro? That's terrible. I'm going to have to hit my people up. I didn't know that because I haven't been. No more Avalon. Well, there's another place on 19, bro. There's another spot. It's a Colombian spot, 19 near Almerton. I'm gonna have to drive over there, I guess. I'm gonna hit you up, bro. We got to find out where these spots are, man. We're gonna have to figure it out. I'm gonna have to find me a Friday or Saturday so I can get out there and dance. But let's get back to this. No-fault divorce. I think most people understand the concept of no-fault divorce is kind of implied in the name, right? No one has to be at fault. So when I saw this, I'm like, I wanted to get a better definition. So I found one. This is from LegalZoom. What is no-fault divorce? And let me pull this up on my end. So no-fault divorce allows a couple to divorce without blame or fault. It is often the simplest path to a divorce available in a state. So this is like American stuff. This is from LegalZoom. I don't know how it works in UK or Australia or Canada or New Zealand or any place like that, but we're going to talk about how it works here in America. Originally, a married couple had to provide an acceptable reason for why they should be allowed to end their marriage and get a divorce. The reason for divorce is known as the grounds for divorce. California was the first state to offer no-fault grounds for divorce. Times have changed, and no-fault divorce is now available in all U.S. states. So, this is like a kind of a brief overview. This is why I'm reading this thing from LegalZoom. But we can have something that's a little more informative. Like, we have something we're gonna bring up here in a second that gets into the history of divorce in America, which is pretty good. And then we also have facts about, like, some stats about, how no-fault divorce kind of changed the way things are done here in America. So let's continue. What is a no-fault divorce then? A no-fault divorce allows one spouse to file for divorce without blaming the other or indicating that it was either spouse's fault. The terminology differs with each state's no-fault divorce laws, but to obtain a no-fault divorce, the spouse who files simply needs to state that there has been an irretrievable breakdown of the marriage. Irreconcilable differences or incompatibility in some states living apart for a specific period of time can be the reason for no-fault divorce. So irreconcilable differences is what we hear all about. We hear that all the time, right? You're getting married. What's the reason? Irreconcilable differences, right? So we just cannot put this back together again. Incompatibility. I didn't know that was part of it. Irretrievable breakdown of the marriage. Like, there's no way we could bring this back. Okay. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, that's how we getting down. How to get a no-fault divorce when filing for divorce. If you wish to obtain a no-fault divorce, you simply select the no-fault option as the reason for the marriage. No-fault grounds cannot be contested by your spouse. The simple facts of disagreeing with you about wanting a divorce just shows the marriage is broken. Damn. You are not required to provide proof that the marriage cannot be repaired. There is no testimony necessary when about what went wrong in the marriage or what the spouse did to the other person. So it's basically, I want to get divorced. You know what I mean? I want to get divorced, and I don't have to tell you why. Right. So again, this is LegalZoom. LegalZoom goes into finding fault, and it talks about different types of divorces. Right. So no fault divorce is not the only way to end your marriage. Fault means that one spouse is the cause of the divorce. A fault divorce requires you to give reasons for the divorce in your divorce petition. And then if your spouse does not agree to prove them in the court, each state has its own acceptable list of fault grounds for divorce. But common reasons include adultery, insanity, imprisonment, cruelty or abuse, abandonment, or substance abuse. And of course, there's many more. Divorce lawyers can help you put together a case to prove fault, but be aware it's often more costly and always more time consuming than a no fault divorce. So I guess you can get divorced and like, hey, we're going to find fault or whatever. But like they just say here, you're only going to pay the attorneys more money. You probably wind up settling anyway. So I guess it's probably best just to do no fault. I wonder what the percentages are on no fault. It's probably the vast majority of people just do a no fault divorce. And then it kind of goes into the reasons for a fault divorce. It talks about getting an annulment, which an annulment declares that a marriage was not valid at the time it was entered to, and it includes reasons such as one party being underage, the spouse being too closely related. Ooh, that's probably a big one in the South. Or fraud, or force to get force used to get one person to consent. So I've heard of annulments. Normally, when people say we went and got our marriage annulled, I think it's like a year or something like that. Or however many months is a time frame. If you were married less than a certain amount of time, you could just go down to the courts, pay some fee, and just have it, dissolve like an annulment. I don't know anything about it. I don't know how difficult it is. But it just says here that you got to state some stuff. I guess you're going there like, she's my first cousin, I didn't know it. Or I was in Vegas and I was incapacitated, so I can't enter into this legal agreement because I didn't know what I was doing. You might, I guess you could do that. I don't know if the spouse can fight an annulment. I would imagine they can, but I don't know why they would. So there you have it. So there's no fault, and then annulments, and then you have fault divorces all the time. Let's see, no fault versus uncontested. So here's another one, the uncontested divorce. I guess an uncontested divorce, and I read this, is basically the person files, you read everything that they filed, including how we're going to break up assets, how we're going to handle the child support, how we're going to handle custody. Everything is kind of spelled out. The other person serves you with the papers, you look at it, and you're like, all right, I'm cool with this. You just sign it, and bam, it's uncontested. I'm just agreeing with everything the other person said. We're done. I've heard of that before, and there's a lot of people who do that. It's just they're like, dude, it is what it is. Maybe they're not worried about the money. Maybe the other spouse is just like, look, we're still cool. It's just, we know this isn't working. Let's just go ahead and split this stuff up now. So I've heard of that before. And I think from what I understand, the minute you begin to contest an uncontested divorce, then it becomes contested, and it takes you out of that category, and it goes back to the other stuff. And I think it says that in here. But yeah, when you do an uncontested divorce, you sign everything. A trial is not necessary. A contested divorce means the spouse does not agree with what you are asking for, and the case will proceed towards a trial unless it eventually settles. So yeah, you go in there, and if you don't agree with everything that's in the paper, in the divorce, settlement, or that they present you with, then you can contest, I guess, parts of that or whatever, and then bam, you get, you kind of negotiate that, and then bam, then you sign it. So uncontested means the person who is being, I guess, the respondent, the petitioner is the person who wants the divorce. The respondent is the person who got served the papers. If the respondent agrees with everything that the petitioner is presenting, then that's no fault. They just sign the documentation. Bam. Don't even have to go to a judge. You just kind of go before the mediators. You sign the documents. They ask you, you understand what you're signing? I do. Bam, it goes to the judge. Judge signs it. Bam, it's done. That's no fault. Well, correction. That's uncontested. And I realize, guys, I'm not a judge or anything like that. I mean, I've never worked in the field. I'm not a lawyer, not a judge, of course. I'm not a lawyer. I don't know anything about this. I'm just reading this stuff here. If you are thinking about getting divorced, you need to go talk to an attorney in this country or a solicitor if you're over there in UK, and figure out what the laws are and what you need to do. That's how you do it. You know what I mean? Dr. B is in the building. What's good, fam? Said just stopping by from work, but man, is this real? Yeah, man. Texas, we're gonna get into that here in a minute, but yeah, Texas is and some other states are about to change it. And we're going to get into the history of the no-fault divorce. I think a lot of people will be surprised where it came from and how it started. I know I was. We're about to get into that in a second. But this LegalZoom finishes with no-fault divorce, makes it easier to obtain a divorce, and also often reduces the negative feelings between spouses since there's no public blame for the divorce. No-fault divorce may be the best path for you. That part right there, I don't buy. Any kind of divorce, somebody's gonna be mad. Like unless it's like uncontested, but if you're getting divorced, it's gonna be some drama there, more likely. Or there's some people who can get through it and be like, hey, it's cool, yeah. But for the most part, I think people are gonna be like, somebody's feelings gonna be hurt. You know what I mean? Dr. B continues, bro, this would change the game a bit in terms of the marriage rates. Yeah, it might, bro. It might. And because when they initiated this, when no-fault divorce became the law of the land, it absolutely did change the marriage game moving forward, like the landscape moving forward. So we're going to get into the history of divorces in America and like the no-fault divorce stuff. I managed to find another page. So that first one was LegalZoom, which all this stuff is going to be linked in the description below. It's already there. And I found this webpage, this website, Hello Divorce. I've never heard of it, but this page helps people get divorced. And they help you really do it on your own. They talk about it. We're going to see it here in a second. But it has shocking facts revealed about the history of divorce, which I thought was pretty cool. Like, let me read this. I thought it was pretty interesting. And it breaks down, it talks about the first U.S. divorce. It talks about divorce ranches and residency requirements, the Reno divorce, the beginning of the no-fault divorce, DIY divorce, Hello Divorce options, which is the page. That's what is actually going to sell their stuff at the end, and sources. So, like, fellas, you want to check this? Check this out. It's some good stuff. Let me pull this up. It is definitely some. I was shocked by it. I was definitely like, wow, didn't know. Like, I didn't know, for real. Let me see if I can make this a little bigger. That should be working. So yeah. So in America right now, if you want to get divorced, you just get divorced. You don't have to have any reasons for said divorce. You can just wake up and be like, I don't like the way she snores. I don't like the way his feet are shaped, whatever. File a no-fault divorce and you're in it. There's nothing you can contest it, but there's nothing you can do to stop it. Now, to me, I thought that, you make these vows and it's supposed to be forever, right? So, and a lot of people were out there like, well, you're just forcing people to be together. You're just asking for trouble. You're going to have women, putting stuff in their husband's food and their husband's just, all of a sudden waking up cold, he's deleted or whatever. You're going to have dudes abusing their wives. You can't force them to stay together. And it's like, well, if that's the case, why are you getting married? Like, you can't force them. And people like right now, there's a lot of talk about the conservatives are coming after no-fault divorce. And there's some videos out there about that. All right, cool. But when I see no-fault divorce, my thing is, you should have to justify why. That's just my thing. We got it set up now. You get married, it doesn't work out for you. You file a no-fault divorce, and then all the money that changes is going to benefit, of course, the person who has less. And up until this point, that's been the woman. Moving forward, women are making more now, and I think that trend is going to continue. So women are going to be earning more than men. It's going to be able to work the other way around. A man could go ahead and file for divorce and get paid, theoretically, right? Most men don't tend to do that, but theoretically it's possible. So I don't understand the pushback. People are out there like, no, we shouldn't have to show cause. I'm like, you should. You really should. You know what I mean? Just, it doesn't mean simply because you got to show fault that you're not going to get the divorce. I don't think, but I don't know. And that's just my quick thought about it. Let's get into it. Again, this is from hellodivorce.com. Throughout history, laws surrounding marriage and divorce have morphed dramatically. From the 1500s, when divorce wasn't allowed, although in certain circumstances, like the inability to bear children, an annulment through the church could be entertained. Oh, that makes sense. If you can't have kids and you can only have one wife, okay, that kind of makes sense. And again, that's the 1500s to nowadays, where divorce parties have become almost as prevalent as engagement parties. The way society views divorce has changed as drastically as fashion. And I've actually seen a divorce party. Blew my mind. A bunch of, middle-aged women, professional women. They were cute. The woman had a tiara on and a big slash, like, I'm divorced now or whatever. And they were celebrating. And I'm like, wow, you're celebrating the fact that you broke your covenant with your God. You're celebrating the fact that you lied to the other person. You broke your promise to your, now ex-spouse and the families. Like, you stood before everyone and you made these vows, and you're celebrating the fact that you lied or that you failed and you weren't able to commit or, uphold your end of the bargain or whatever. Why are we celebrating that? When I saw that out, I didn't ask the people. They just, I could see the sash. And they were saying what they were saying. And, as a player, I'm like, I don't want to, that's the last woman I want to talk to. I don't want to talk to her. I don't want to talk to any of her friends, because that ain't nothing but a smash. Real talk. Like, why would I want to be with you? And then there's people out there like, well, you don't know what the situation was. It could have been abusive. It could have been this. It could have been that. Could have been. But more often than not, it wasn't. They just didn't want to be married anymore. Brother Pitney's in the building. What's good, fam? Pitney Drew's in the house. Reintroducing the need for fault will make divorces slower and more difficult to process. Yeah. And it should be, I think it should be hard to get out of it. It should be hard to get married, or it should be hard to get divorced. I brought that up before. The way it's done now, it just doesn't seem to be, it doesn't seem to be working. The numbers bear that out. It doesn't seem to be working, and it hurts families, it hurts children, right? It's going to hurt one party. Again, the person who has the money, the person who has the resources is going to get wrecked in the U.S. divorce court as it stands today. Brother Penny continues, this could be a good thing because people will be slower to pull the trigger, and they'll also think twice about who they are marrying and why. Facts. And I think that's what people are hoping. That's what people are hoping, man. But that whole thing with divorce parties, bro, that's real. Right. So we're going to get into the history a little bit of divorce in America. Like we already said, in the 1500s, it was virtually impossible to get divorced unless you were married to someone who couldn't have kids. And then you went to the church and they would give you special permission. So it wasn't something that was like done all the time. To where we are now, 2023, and getting divorces, you could do your own. You could do your own divorce, right? That's just how it works. The first U.S. divorce, let me see. It says early law required a person seeking divorce to prove fault. That is, they had to prove that their spouse did something so egregious that a divorce must be granted. And that's how it was back in the day. Like, further, the spouse requesting divorce had to have clean hands, meaning they could not have done anything wrong during the marriage, such as abuse, adultery, abandonment. If their hands weren't clean, the divorce would be thrown out, and the disenchanted couple will have to stay married, legally married, right? They don't mean you have to stay in the same space, but so back in the day, it was hard to get divorced. Almost impossible, right? That's what it seems like. and you had to show that your spouse was doing something wrong and you didn't do anything wrong. That's probably straight out of the Bible, right? Let he who is without sin cast the first stone, right? That's kind of one of those things. Oh, you want to get divorced? Tell us what the other person did. All right, did you do anything wrong? Well, well, sounds like y'all both wrong together. Stay married. Divorce denied. You see how the pendulum always swings drastically one way or the other, right? So it's like, okay, you got to stay married. The first U.S. divorce, according to history, occurred in Massachusetts in 1643. In these proceedings, it came out that the husband had 2 wives and 2 sets of kids. Wow. Funny, that was still going on. What does it say? It says 1643. Man, that was still going on in 1973, right? And the divorce was granted based on bigamy, but it was granted, right? Because the husband violated his vows, right? He had a whole nother family. He had 2 wives and he had 2 separate families going on. So one of the wives found out and was able to get the divorce granted back in 1643. Right? I wonder if dude probably wound up with a scarlet letter or something like that. They probably, put him in the, what do they call them things, the stock things where they put your hands in there. You got to sit there and walk around and say, yeah, I'm a bad boy or whatever. So, but wow. And that's, could you imagine going to court and it's like, it's probably not going to work. People are like telling her like, you can go to court, but it's probably not going to work. He's still taking care of you and the kids. He's taking care of the other kids too. So just deal with it. He's a high value man. He's exercising his options. He's taking care of both. That poor dude was just in the wrong faith. If he was Muslim, he could have had 2 more wives and it'd been cool. Beginning in the 20th century, divorce laws slowly became more liberal, culminating in divorce as we know it today. Here we examine 3 of the most influential changes to divorce that shaped the way couples are now able to get a divorce. So again, this is hellodivorce.com, man. It's pretty cool stuff. Divorce ranches to meet residency requirements ASAP. So divorce ranches, right? Man, wait till I check this out. In the early 1900s, several states began to revise their residency requirements, shortening the length of time a person must reside in a state in order to become a resident to get a divorce. This led to the informal installation of divorce meals, right? Cities or states where people, most commonly women, fled to in order to quickly establish residency and divorce their spouses. Idaho and Arkansas became well-known divorce destinations, but perhaps the most prevalent city for divorce was Reno, Nevada. That's funny, man. As early as in the early 1900s, women were still leading the charge and getting divorces. I mean, that holds true to today. I mean, they're not giving us any numbers, but they're saying mostly women were going to these places so they can divorce their dudes. Okay, that makes sense. And I would imagine in the 1900s, but it was that physical aspect was really big. I bet you these women were being hurt. You know what I mean? It was a different time. I mean, let's keep it 100. They let men abuse their wives back in the day, man. It was all sorts of abuse, and I get that. And then wives were kind of coerced, in some cases forced to marry men. There were still arranged marriages back then. So I could see that. I could see women leading the charge like, man, I'm tired of this. At the turn of the century, Reno was one of the largest towns in Nevada. Las Vegas was not yet the desert oasis it is today, but it was still a quiet and relatively small ranching outpost. For years, the Nevada legislature toyed with the idea of shortening its residency requirements, toggling between a year of living continually in Nevada to establish residency to 6 months to 3 months. Finally, in 1931, the government shortened the length of time a person had to live in Nevada to establish residency to a mere 6 weeks. Add in liberal divorce laws for the time, and Reno's divorce boom was quickly underway. So Reno made money on it. Like, people just making money. Just move to Reno for 6 weeks and you can get a divorce. We just got to go from Kentucky to, go from Louisville all the way to Reno, then we can go ahead and get divorced. That's and that was 1931. In the entrepreneurial spirit, local ranch and homeowners saw an opportunity to capitalize on this new divorce trend. They formed divorce ranches, or places where divorce hopefuls could stay for 6 weeks, which is the 6 weeks needed to establish residency in Nevada. The ranchers catered to the disenfranchised bride or groom and provided community activities, entertainment, both legal and non-legal, and most importantly, the required witness needed to prove residency to the court. The cost was about $1,500. That's about $15,000 in today's money. So for 15 grand, you can move to that city, stay there for 6 weeks, probably like room and board and, you know, security and all that kind of stuff. And now and most importantly, you got to witness someone to say, yes, they've been living here for 6 weeks. So you can go to court and get your divorce. And everybody was making money on that. I'm pretty sure the city was taxing on this. So, you know, and then they probably had to pay a lot to get the divorce anyway, like pay for the hearing and all that. So everybody was making money. The ranches quickly became a mecca for housewives, socialites, and celebrities alike. Notable celebrities seen in Reno during the heyday of what became known as the Reno divorce included Rita Hayworth. Ooh, Rita Hayworth was a big-time Hollywood star, y'all, back in the day. Norman Rockwell, you know his work, famous American painter. Iconic American painter. I didn't know he went to Reno to get divorced. General Douglas MacArthur. Wow. MacArthur. That's the guy who wanted to drop nukes on the Chinese during the Korean War when the Chinese joined the North Koreans and came screaming across the Yalu River. Doug MacArthur wanted to drop nukes on North Korea and the Chinese. And Mary Rockefeller. Annual divorces in Reno jumped from roughly 1,000 per year in 1920 to 19,000 per year by 1946. Wow. So this whole divorce thing, you know, like America was screaming for some sort of no fault or an easy way to get divorced, going all the way back into the the 1900s, and it got crazy towards the middle 1900s. Right. So by 1946, man, people were spending as much as $15,000. Wow. So the Reno divorce, the popularity of the Reno divorce was further amplified by Nevada's lack of policy or timeline for remarriage. This meant that a person who got divorced in Reno could marry their next spouse the same day they received their divorce decree, instead of waiting a month to a year in other states. Wow. No cool down. The surge in divorce tourism also provided a huge boost to Reno's economy, generating nearly $5 million in annual revenue. That's $50 million in today's money. Bro. Hey, when you listen, the business of marriage doesn't make sense. If you got the state sitting back making money off this thing, right? This product that they sell that doesn't work. The divorce rate had to be as high as it is. I ain't gonna say that. The divorce rate wasn't as high as it is today because there was so many restrictions. People were going to Reno to get divorced, paying all that money. Reno was raking in the money. Nevada was raking in the money hand over fist. $50 million. That is crazy. Annually, they were raking in $50 million a year, giving people divorces. Who were getting the divorces? The people who could afford it, right? That was 15 grand. 1%. You know what I mean? I ain't mad at them people. You know what I mean? Like Douglas MacArthur, general. He almost became president of the United States. He ran for president. You know what I mean? He defeated the Japanese, right? He got ran out of the Philippines, and I shall return, and he came back. Doug MacArthur fought that war in the Pacific. Hand in hand with Bull Halsey over there, you know what I mean, fighting the Japanese, where Eisenhower was fighting the Germans and the Italians in the European theater and in Africa. So he was famous, bro. Like Doug MacArthur had bread. Who was the lady that they had in there? Let me go back up to the names. Norman Rockwell, Rita Hayworth. Rita Hayworth, A-list celebrity, man. She's like you know, I mean, top tier celebrity back then. Rita Hayworth. I'm trying to think of her equivalent in America, like today's world. Rita Hayworth was, I mean, who's the top female actress right now? That's how big Rita Hayworth was. Like Rita Hayworth had the pinups and all that. I mean, her picture was on the nose of all the bombers and airplanes that was fighting in the war. She was an icon. I'm trying to think who would she be like? I mean, you can't even compare to anybody. That's how big she was. You have to compare the people today to her. She was like the first big icon. She got a divorce in Reno. Norman Rockwell. And you go to any established art museum in America, certainly in the world, really, you're gonna find some Rockwells on the wall. Right? Norman Rockwell's. Look his name up. He's an iconic artist. He went to Reno. Mary Rockefeller, one of the Rockefellers, got divorced, went to Reno, 15 grand a pop or more, which is crazy. And Douglas MacArthur, just to name a few, man. That's crazy. Reno went from 1,000 divorces a year in the 1920s to 19,000 divorces a year by 1946. But the average American couldn't afford that. So they had to stay married. They had to make it work, you know, and this includes the baby boomers, right? This includes the people who went and fought the Great War, like America's greatest generation. They came back home and they stayed married. They had to. Why? Because they didn't have money to go to Reno. I'm gonna have to go back and watch some of those old movies I grew up watching to see if I can hear references about Reno divorces. Because I didn't know about this, y'all. This is like news to me, right? News to me. So why is Reno such an important part of divorce history? It's important because it showed politicians and lawmakers the stark desire of the American people, and in particular women, to be able to legally and quickly end their unhappy marriages and move on unencumbered to the next chapter of their lives, which is what we have now. This is what so if there were no Reno, there would have been no fault marriage, right? We wouldn't be here today without Reno, more than likely. That's what they're saying. And again, this is hellodivorce.com. Not my fault, entering no fault divorce. Until the late 1960s, divorce laws always required the petitioning party to prove fault in order to have their divorce granted. This is the part that people want to restore. This is what they're talking about restoring right now. The petitioning party will have to prove fault. The other person is doing something wrong in order to get a divorce granted. A person could not divorce their spouse merely because they were unhappy in a relationship. Rather, they had to prove their spouse had done something wrong. Now, of course, if someone wants to get out of a situation bad enough, they just gonna make it up, right? We see that now with the whole Believe All Women movement and all that kind of stuff. They're just gonna make something up. But I don't know how society was dealing with that. I don't know if there were like proper investigations done. I'm pretty sure they used private investigators to go out there and find a husband, you know, out there making out with his secretary or whatever he was doing, and that would be enough proof in a divorce court to get that granted. But again, you had to prove something. You just couldn't be like, well, I don't want to be married anymore. You had to prove that a spouse did something wrong for men and women. Reasons to grant a divorce included, but were not limited to, bigamy in certain states, adultery, abandonment, extreme cruelty or abuse, and the inability to perform in the bedroom. Ooh, and they didn't have Viagra's back there, so a woman could leave you if you couldn't, you couldn't get it up. Your joystick wasn't working, or if your wife couldn't have babies. So a husband could ask for a divorce because she can't have babies. You see, the result of these at-fault laws was that thousands upon thousands of couples were forced to stay in unhappy marriages on the basis that neither spouse had done anything egregiously wrong. Growing apart simply wasn't an option. And again, that makes sense to me. My thing is, if you're gonna get married, okay, fine. If you don't want to stay together forever, change the words. You know, maybe establish how it's gonna look. All right, let's be together for 5 years, and then let's come back to the table and see if it's working, right? And at that 5 year period, you know, this is how much money we're gonna split up. Because the biggest problem with marriage today is when you have to split up everything. That's the biggest problem, right? Someone is going to get wrecked, and even with prenups, you have a prenup out there, but what if you co-mingled and you didn't do what you're supposed to do? You didn't play the game properly, and now you're losing half your stuff. You're paying for both lawyers. You're paying child support. You're paying alimony in some states. It could be, somebody's going to get wrecked. And historically, that was the guy. That was the guy getting wrecked. And, that's the problem. I just want to get divorced because I don't like this anymore. Oh, man. So Ronald Reagan's no-fault divorce concept. Here we go right here. Things began to change in 1969 when the governor of California, former President Ronald Reagan, officialized California's Family Law Act, the act permitting divorcing couples to split for no other reason than irreconcilable differences. In other words, neither spouse had to prove the fault of the other to get divorced. This blew my mind. I had no idea it was Ronald Reagan that started this. It makes sense that it was California. California's always been progressive, right? But Ronald Reagan, the god of the conservative movement, like Mr. Conservative, Ronald Reagan signed off on this. It was Reagan back in 1969 who changed America as we know it. Man, that's crazy. I didn't know. Other states quickly followed suit. The irreconcilable differences soon became the benchmark for divorce in the United States. Look what Reagan did. The shift to no-fault divorce resulted in a sharp rise in divorce rates throughout the 1970s and 80s. Many couples who until 1970s had no option for ending their faultless marriage would now get divorced. The shift in divorce laws also corresponded in the shift in the way society viewed marriage in general. Marriage rates also fell as many couples opted for cohabitation over marriage. Wow. So you look at the 70s, that's at the end of the whole free love thing, right? That's right before the disco era, which was even freer love. Like that's when it was really crazy, right? And all that went on until HIV/AIDS happened, and then people kind of slowed down. But throughout that whole time, marriage rates were beginning to fall, divorce rates were going up, and just kind of look at that. So from the 70s until now, 2023, we're at a point now where like, well, marriage, divorce rates are on a decline. It's like, well, because people aren't getting married. Like it's less people to get divorced. So and people are opting to cohabitate, like, well, we'll just live together, just live in sin. We don't need to get divorced, which makes sense. It makes sense, but you got to look at your common law regulations and stuff that's on the books in whatever state you're in. If you're living with someone, like you got to understand how many days you're allowed to stay at their place during the week before it is considered a common law marriage. There are some states that have that, like you have to, if you're there more than 8 consecutive days or whatever, you consider common law. And in some places, if you're there over 8 consecutive days, then you're considered to be a resident of that dwelling, and you can receive mail and stuff like that, which is, you got to be careful with that. I think Florida has something like that. If they're there more than 6 or 7 consecutive days, then they're considered to be a resident there, even though they're not on a lease or whatever, or it's not their home. They're not on a mortgage. Man, it's crazy. It's crazy. But from the very beginning, this began in 1970, and from the very beginning, they've noticed more people getting divorced and less people getting married. A revolutionary change. The no-fault divorce ultimately revolutionized divorce for Americans. With an increase in divorces, many states formed courts to specifically deal with divorce and other family law matters. Right? We know about that, the family law stuff that's going on now. Increased efficiency moved divorce cases. Increased efficiency moved divorce cases through the system relatively quickly and helped courts prioritize emergency matters. The stage was set for the next monumental change to the way we divorce. So it is right there. Brother Doug's in the building. What's good, fam? Appreciate that, man. Dropping that downrange link in there for me, man. I appreciate you, man. Good to see you, man. I hope you're doing well. We're sitting here, man, talking about divorce, man, how Ronald Reagan changed America. And then it kind of goes down into the do-it-yourself divorce. And this is where they begin to to plug their products. Hello Divorce is a platform where, you know, they show you how to do your own divorce, where you don't have to use attorneys. They talk about LegalZoom and having forms that the court will begin to accept and stuff like that. And then using a divorce attorney was about $15,000 on average. So, you know, when this whole, you know, do-it-yourself divorce came, people were able to save that money, especially you got two people like, look, we just want to get divorced. Let's just go do it. I think, like, I know in California, there is a form you can fill out. If both people are just, man, let's just get divorced, whatever, we want to end this marriage, you can go in and fill out the form, submit it. And if you guys are cool with everything on the form, boom, that's it. The judge is signing. You guys are done. It won't even, it just costs you the cost of filing or whatever it is. It might be $300 to $500. I don't remember. I've never been married. I just remember sitting there, listening to someone talk about it. And it was a form, like one piece of paper. You just take this piece of paper, fill this form out, bring it back. And if you guys are both there, they'll divorce you. I was like, wow, you want to talk about easy? That was easy peasy. So, but that continued, you know, Hello Divorce continued to sell their product, which they have products that, you know, they can walk you through it and you can do like a do-it-yourself divorce, very simple, very easy for X amount of dollars. Because right now they were saying $15,000 is the average for attorneys. Keep in mind, that'll be $15,000 each. So like 30 grand, you know, or more to get divorced. You know, or you can just fill out this piece of paper and just be done with it. And that's probably for people who don't really have much. Like, we don't have any properties. We don't have a lot of money. We don't have any stocks. We don't have a retirement. We don't have nothing. We've been married for 5 years. We're just ready to move on. Let's untangle this legally. And you can just fill out that form, which makes a lot of sense. And sorry, guys, I gotta drink water. It makes a lot of sense for those people. But for the people who got money, of course, they're going to go through the process that we have, which is crazy. So, no fault divorce may be coming to an end. So, July 31st of 2023, IFS, which is the, man, I forget the name of it. It's the, let me see if I can get the name of this. I think it's like the International Family Studies Institute or something like that. Let me see if I can find this. But they use IFS for short, and I can't find it, guys. So excuse me if I'm screwing up the acronym. But yeah, I think it's the International Family Studies Institute or something like that. No, the Institute of Family Studies. That's what it is. Institute of Family Studies. Challenging the no-fault divorce regime. This is a pretty good article. Miss AKA ladies in the building. What's good, sis? How you feeling, shawty? We over here talking about no-fault divorce. No-fault divorce may be going away. Like, just kind of thinking about what you think about that, sis. And Brother Penny, thank you for that. Yeah, Institute for Family Studies. Thanks. I appreciate that, bro. You know what I mean? Appreciate that. But yeah, Miss AKA lady, what do you think about that? No fault divorce. Should that go away? Should people show cause for divorce? What do you think? We just went over the history of it a little bit. I did not know Ronald Reagan was the governor who changed America by instituting no fault divorce, irreconcilable differences. I didn't know that was Ronald Reagan. I knew it when I heard it was California. That didn't shock me at all, but Ronald Reagan was the governor at the time, blew me away. And Miss AKA lady wants to know, what are the new acceptable reasons for divorce? Well, right now you don't need a reason to be divorced under the no fault, irreconcilable differences. You don't need a reason. But we went over the history of divorce, and let's see. I'm just kind of go back to some of the reasons. Here it is right here. Reasons to the grant of divorce included, but were not limited to bigamy in certain states, adultery, abandonment, extreme cruelty or abuse, and the inability to perform in the bedroom, right? Erectile dysfunction might be one of them, or if your wife can't have kids, I think that if your wife is sterile or whatever, unable to make babies, I think that was one of the reasons you can get divorced. But what Ronald Reagan did in 1969, which kicked in 1970, is he came up with irreconcilable differences, which that was made official with the California Family Law Act in 1969. So now you just one spouse or the other wants to get divorced, they just get divorced. You didn't need a reason. It's irreconcilable differences. And did you even tell your spouse? Nope, I haven't served the papers yet. Right. So now they want to go back to, well, at least you need a reason. What is the reason you want the divorce, sir? I want to divorce her because we haven't been able to have kids. Okay. I want to divorce her because she's, she has a OF account and, I don't like that. I don't know if that would ride. I want to divorce him because he's a womanizer and he's out there, chasing women, or he has another family on the other side of town and I didn't know about it. I recently discovered it, so I want a divorce. Just some reason other than I just don't want to be married anymore. So I hope I was able to answer your question, love. And I'm definitely going to drop the link if anybody wants to jump up and just kind of talk about some stuff. So yeah, the Institute for Family Studies has an article. Again, this was July 31st of this year, challenging the no-fault divorce regime. So, and in the highlights, it says marriage is vastly more unstable under the no-fault at-will regime. Changing the default settings for divorce proceedings may promote more marital stability. Brother Pitney was saying that on his own in the chat. A new Florida law assumes that a 50-50 split between former spouses is in the best interest of the child. Wow. Wow. I mean, DeSantis is an idiot, but boy, oh boy, he got that forever alimony thing right. And if this is true, I got to look this up. But if Florida law assumes and mandates a 50-50 split, then I can't be mad at DeSantis for that at all, or the people who were behind that. Like it is what it is. Let's see. Miss AKA lady, marriage is the only license that doesn't have to be renewed. Make it renewable and see what happens. Ooh, you would have to renew your marriage license, what, every year or every 5 years? Wow. I like that. So how would that work if the husband and or wife, if one of the spouses refuses to renew? How does that break down as far as you just split up everything at that point and everything else defaults to the way we have now? Or would it be 50-50 by default, what Brother Pitney was saying? Brother Pitney saying OF accounts and other forms of sex work, while marriage should be considered adultery by default. Yeah, bro. I agree with you there. That's a damn good point. That's, Brother Casual Germs in the building. What's good, fam? Good point. Absolutely. That's a damn good point. And these are the conversations we need to be having, because obviously the system is broken. It's not working. So we need to fix it as a people. You feel me? So let me pull up this article. So let's Institute for Family Studies. Pull this up. And divorce laws both create and reflect a reality about marriage. When divorce is difficult or impossible to secure, marriage is thought of as an enduring, tighter community, and small irritants can be forgotten or forgiven, right? So small little things, yeah, we can, when it's hard to get married, people gonna overlook the little BS, right? I get that. When divorce is easy to secure, partners in a marriage tend to think of themselves as individuals first before marriage partners, and marriage can dissolve easily. That's what we're looking at. American states initially adopted a no-fault correction. American states initially adopted a fault-based idea of divorce, right? And we talked about that with the other article back in the day, like the 1900s, you had to show cause, and it had to be a good cause, where a spouse could initiate divorce proceedings only when he or she could prove the other spouse had committed some fault like adultery, abandonment, or extreme cruelty. As time went on, states explained the grounds for fault-based claims. Thus, sat America's divorce system until the 1970s, when, following California, all states eventually adopted no-fault at-will divorces. Such laws allow one party to leave marriage for whatever reason or for no reason at all. This bold policy change, disguised as bureaucratic adjustment, ended the era of marriage as an enforceable contract. Wow. So, and again, that was Ronald Reagan who did that. Just want to make sure we understand that. That was Ronald Reagan who introduced no fault. And back in the day, it was fault-based. And remember, when you go all the way back to the 1900s, remember what it was that article was saying earlier? Not only was it you had to show faults, that your spouse did something wrong, but you had to show that you didn't do anything wrong. So you had to show that they did something wrong, and then you had to show that, hey, my hands were clean. So it was virtually impossible, right? You know, how you gonna be throwing them right? Everybody got some dirt, right? Everybody got some dirt. So it is what it is. Miss A.K. Ailey was saying, maybe work out a renewal terms at the beginning of every term, like a post-nup of sorts. I think that would be better than what we have now. I really do. I think that would be better than we have now. Like it was kind of worked out. Like, okay, okay, I'm in a situation. I made a bad call, or this person isn't, we're not the same people we were 3 years ago, 5 years ago, what have you. And like, oh, I'm coming up on a renewal. Like I'm coming up on a renewal. That was in a science fiction series that came on the networks on NBC or ABC. It was called Earth 2. That was one of the subplots in Earth 2. They had contracts. Like you would get a marriage contract. Okay, we're married for 5 years. We're married for 10 years or whatever. The contracts weren't that long. And then they would get to the end of the term and they would have to renew. That series came out in the late 80s, I'm thinking. Maybe early 90s. And I think that's what you're kind of proposing, sis. Something like that. Like, the marriage is no longer forever. We're going to do this in terms. Or maybe just have a hard contract. Like, all right, let's get married. Let's do a 3-year. Let's do a 3-year marriage. See how it works. Oh, it worked out pretty good. Okay, let's do another 3-year. All right, cool. We're 6 years in. This is pretty good. Already 6 years. All right, let's do a 4-year. Right? You do the 4-year. End of the 4-year. Okay, we're 10 years in. All right, let's go ahead and just go ahead and do it then. let's go ahead and do a 20-year. We're already 10 years in. Let's go do a 20-year or whatever. Or continue to do your 3 years. Just continue to do your 3 years until, you're 70. It is what it is. But I think they have a point that, when Reagan instituted irreconcilable difference, the no-fault divorce, that ended the idea of marriage being an enforceable contract. And that's one of the things that men out here really point out. They don't have a problem with the concept of being married, but the fact that you're entering into a contract that can't be enforced. And in other words, people are getting rewarded to break the agreement. It's not like they're not just getting let out of the contract, but they're getting paid to do it in some cases. Like if I were married to Oprah and I was married to Oprah for 7 years, you best believe I'm filing a no-fault divorce in 7 years. I'm going to be a good boy until then. File no-fault divorce. Boy, I'm getting paid. You know what I mean? I'm walking away with some bread. I might walk away with 10 million. I might walk away with 200 million, but I'm walking away with some bread. And then I'll be able to go out and do whatever it is I want to do, right? That's why I don't get mad at women who do it. You know what I mean? You married Jeff Bezos, right? You married Jeff Bezos or whatever, and you doing your thing, and you, all right, cool. You 7 years in, you're tired of this. You're going to walk away with some bread. Now, Jeff Bezos' case, I'm happy with the way that worked out. His wife got all that money, because she invested heavily in him when he was in the garage selling books. So that was one of the cases I actually agree with her getting 50%. She really should have got more. I think she should have got 60 or 70%, 60 or 70%, because there wouldn't have been any Amazon without her, from the way I understand it. If I'm wrong, please correct me in the chat below. But From what I understand, she is the person who invested in him real money early on, and Amazon became Amazon because of her investment, not in her belief and her belief in her husband at the time. So when it was over, irregardless of who wanted to end the relationship, when it was over, yeah, she definitely should have gotten half. I think she should have got more than half, to be honest with you. Like I said, 60%, you know what I mean, at least, because it wouldn't have been no Amazon without her. And that's for you people out here thinking, oh, you just a red pill and you hate women. Nah, bro, I appreciate the game. You know what I mean? I appreciate the game. See, Miss AKA Lady is saying the uncertainty of a renewal could possibly make marriages better by keeping folks on their toes. That's a good point. That's a good point, sis. So that, you know, so there it is. You know, marriage is definitely today, the way we do marriage, it is definitely you know, that contract is not enforceable. And guys know it, right? It's not enforceable. So the number of divorces soared, destabilizing marriage, and ended up making marriages less attractive. Yeah. And marriage rates have plummeted from 72% before the reforms to under 50% in 2022. Commentators find it increasingly difficult to talk about the tragedy of divorce as more people divorce. Poverty and self-deletion increased for children of divorce, as did depression, drug use, and crime. And we all know this, right? And this, the numbers are there. We can click on the numbers if we want to. If anyone doubts it, you know, we just pull this up and click on the numbers. They're right there. When the no-fault regime was adopted, most were concerned that men would run away with younger women. That's funny how they always think men is going to be men who are going to jack something up. Marriage was thought to stabilize or civilize men, and destabilizing marriage, many worried, would further destabilize men. Default rules were made to discourage men from thoughtlessly breaking the bonds of marriage. To the surprise of many, it turned out that women filed for the majority of divorces in every country that has no-fault divorce. Overall, women file nearly 70% of divorces in America. We know that. We hear that all the time. We know that stat, right? And it's as high as 90% for women with higher degrees in education, right? So we know that 70% of the time in America, women file for divorce. And again, it's like closer to 90% for women with higher levels of education. I'm talking about masters and doctorates. It's like higher. So that's funny. They didn't want to do no fault divorces because they thought men were going to all dump their wives and go get a young girl. Wow. I didn't. Wow. They couldn't have been more wrong. They could not have been more wrong. And again, it goes to, I think guys really understand where they are. The average dude knows what he's capable of doing and not doing. Right? Just the average dude, how I'm going to get some young girl. You know what I mean? And like I said, most of these dudes really be in love with their women. They really do be in love with their women. I think that's kind of funny. So some advocates celebrate wife-initiated divorces as expressions of female empowerment. Women are more often victims of intimate partner violence. So the thinking goes, the newfound freedom to divorce allows women to escape bad marriages. Women no longer need to be held back by marriage or endure boorish or abusive behavior. Divorce, as one economist argues, is good for women. Yeah, it is good for women. It's funny an economist says that because most of the transfer of most of the transfer of wealth in divorce goes from the man to the woman. And again, that's not, I don't think that because of gender. I think that's the case because historically men have out earned women. But again, I think that's going to flip. So, and when it does flip, women are going to be paying out to men. The transfer of wealth is going to go from woman to man. So I bet an economist will say that divorce is good for women. That's crazy. It's good for business, isn't it? Now you got to split a household. You know, now you got, you know, instead of having one family and one budget, you got two families and two budgets. You got about two of everything. So that's kind of good. I mean, it's kind of crazy. And Miss AKA lady says, AKA the women got tired of trying to stabilize the men. LOL. Get somebody else to do it. Yeah, I feel you, sis. I feel you. I see you getting it in. I see you getting it in. You know what I mean? Y'all know she be coming for us, bro. She be coming for us. But when it comes to marriage, bro, this is how I feel about marriage today. This is how I feel about marriage today, man. Hold on.
Well, that's great. That's just fucking great, man. Now what the fuck are we supposed to do?
That's how I feel about marriage, man. It's all over, man. What are we gonna do now, man? What are we gonna do now? Because you know you're gonna get wrecked if you're the one with the money. If you don't want, if you're the one without the money, bro. And like I said, if I'm married to Oprah for 7 years and Oprah's like, you know what, I'm tired of this. You know what I'm gonna be thinking? I'm gonna be thinking this. That's what I'm gonna be thinking. Oprah, you tired of me? I'm finna get 200 million. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I'm happy as I can be. But you flip it around, if you're the one with the money, you're gonna be like, oh man, game over, man. What are we gonna do now, man? What are we gonna do now? That's how it works. You know what I mean? Brother Penny's like, once women start paying for other divorce, alimony laws will change. Yeah, for once women start paying men after divorce, alimony laws will change. They're starting to change on their own, but you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right, bro. She's like, can't miss an opportunity. Nope, I see you. I ain't mad at you, sis. I ain't mad at you, sis. You know what I mean? Appreciate the win on the sound job. Yeah, I gotta do more sound jobs. I got all these sounds in here, bro. I gotta do more sound jobs. I got them in here for a reason. I got one extra bank of sounds I gotta put in here, and I already know which ones I want. I just gotta load them up. But yeah, it's. I can see how an economist would argue that divorce is good for women. I understand and I accept that back in the day, women were definitely dealing with the abuse side of things, right? They were, you know, society accepted it. Like women would come to church with a black eye or whatever, and there was hardly anything they could do. Men were very abusive. I get that. Society allowed it to happen. I get that. I don't believe that that's the case as much anymore. I really don't. You know what I mean? And I could be wrong. We can go get the stats to go look at it, but it just doesn't happen as much. You know, it still happens though. Trust me. I've seen abusive dudes. I was looking at some content creators, and there was one content creator. When I was watching some of Sister Khan stuff, and it was one of the content creators she was talking to over in UK. I'm listening to dude talk, and I'm like, that dude beats women, right? And I'm like, I'm trying to figure out if I'm going to actually react to it, because he was saying some stuff, and I'm like, oh yeah, that dude right there. Yeah, he's showing somebody the wife beater. He done got the backhand out. You know what I'm saying? I guarantee you, like that dude right there, yeah. Yeah, he punching on some females. That's just the vibe, dude. Now, I could be wrong. I think I might have to do that show. But I'm like, yeah, but I don't think it's, I mean, all you got to do is go to law enforcement, and they coming down on dude hard. So if you do have a guy who's abusive like that, they going to come get dude for real. You know, but a lot of women who find themselves in that situation, they don't want to, you know what I mean? I guess their emotions got them so mixed up, like they're in love, they don't want to like turn the guy in. But nowadays, especially today, I mean, I would say women are more abusive towards men. I think there are more guys out there getting beat up like Lionel Richie did by his wife. You know what I'm saying? I think you got more of that than the latter these days. You know, it is what it is. But let's continue. At the same time, others see the no-fault divorce creates financial and custodial incentives for women to file for divorce. Since the structure of proceedings can allow wives to get decent levels of spousal support and gain custody of children, most divorces are initiated not for abuse, infidelity, or desertion, but for relatively minor and transient reasons like irreconcilable differences, drifting apart, or lack of emotional support. Right? So I agree with that wholeheartedly. And I think most people would agree with that. People aren't getting divorced because, you know, they're in a dangerous situation. They're getting divorced because maybe they're bored. They're getting divorced because maybe they've grown apart. They're getting divorced because they're having some sort of midlife crisis. You know, it just, again, Irreconcilable differences. That's all he had to say. Why are you getting divorced? Because I want to. Because I want to. And yes, I believe that should come to an end. It's like I said, it should either be harder to get married or harder to get divorced. It's extremely easy to get married now and even easier to get divorced, I would argue. You know what I mean? Tell me if I'm wrong. Miss AKA lady is saying that's why I wouldn't be with an officer. If he gets wild, where do you go? You talking about a police officer? You go to the police. If a cop gets wild, where do you go? You go to other police. You go to the state police. You can go to the feds. I would say go to the feds. If you really got a problem, go to the feds. Go to the feds. And guess what? The FBI or the U.S. Marshals will come down and they'll come down. And then not only would they get that officer, but they will look at the whole department. They will come down as, why did this person come to us? We need to come look at your PD. That's what you do, sis. That's what you do. You know what I mean? When cops get out of line, definitely go see, especially today. Cops get out of line in your personal relationship, you go see other cops, or like I said, go see the feds. Either go see the states or go see the feds. You go to the state law enforcement entities like state police or whatever, but if you don't want to go in, you just pick up the phone, call the FBI. The FBI will take care of that quick, fast, in a hurry. No problem. Take all your information. No problem. If the feds will come see them themselves, or they'll send the U.S. Marshals in there, but they're going to get into it. And that's a good thing. That's a good thing. When judges have discretion, they tend to favor women in settlements. Nationwide, men are the custodial parents only about 20% of the time, according to U.S. Census data. We know this. We know this. The numbers at the state level differ, but states have adopted a judicially determined best interest of child standard for allocating child custody. I can't tell you how many times I heard that. How many times I heard that term, best interest of the child. That I heard it so much, I hate it. I just hate it. I hate it. It's one of those things that, you know, y'all know I'm starting to talk to God again, right? I'm starting to embrace my roots and my spirituality, right? Not necessarily religion, because I'm hesitant going into religious, you know, like churches and stuff, but definitely my spirituality. When I hear that, you know, best interest of the child, man, that right there, that chaps my hide, man. That gets my goat, and all the other old terms. That, boy, oh boy, that's absolute bullshit. And that's one of the things that I ask God for help with, because you want to talk about triggering me when you say something like that. That's when I start getting mad, and I have to, you know what I mean? I have to change, and I'm working on it. But best interest of the child, complete bullshit. That standard for allocating child custody, right? And they use that all the time. This is in the best interest of the child. No, it's not. No, it's not. And what makes me so mad about it is these judges and these attorneys are dumb people. They know what time it is. They know the game is rigged. They just say it. And it just burns me up. Like, I just don't say it. Just don't say it. Because it's not in the best interest of the child. Just don't say it. 50-50 custody is what's in the best interest of that child. Right? Unless there's some sort of reason, I mean, there's some abuse going on or something like that. Outside of that, children need their mom and dad, ideally in the same home. But if they can't have them in the same home, they still need access to their mom and their dad. I'll be the first one to admit to that. My daughter needs access to her mom, no matter how I feel about that. And my daughter's mom will say the same thing. She needs access to her dad, no matter how she feels about that. That is in the best interest of our child. That's why I get mad when they say that bullshit in court. So, all right, I'm off my soapbox. But they always say that, and that means they're going to give the kid to the mom, right? Under such laws, men generally see their children less. Facts. Both Texas and California have laws that favor joint custody of children, but in each of them, men actually see their children less than a third of the time. Facts. I got court documents that can back that up. According to research by Custody Change, men see their children only 30% of the time in New York. It's even worse in Illinois at 23%, Washington 24%, Oklahoma 22%, and Tennessee 22%. So when people say that, you know, everyone knows that there's absolutely an injustice when it comes to child custody, when it comes to this sort of thing in the family law system. We know that the scales or definitely rigged towards the woman. It's fine. It is what it is. That's how the game is played today. Now it might change tomorrow, but today that's how the game is played. And y'all know me, don't hate the player, hate the game. And I truly hate this game when it comes to custody. And it's not about the money. People always talk about it's about the money. It's not about the money. It's about the child, right? It is about the child. There are women out there, not just women, people understand that the family law system in America is jacked up. And there are some people out there who will take advantage of that, men and women. All right. They know the system. They know how to play the system. If they have money, they'll go out and hire certain attorneys that will wreck the other person. If you go in there thinking everything's going to be great, I'm in court, there's going to be justice here, you're absolutely mistaken. Absolutely mistaken. And you're in a cruising for a bruising, as my old folks used to tell me when I was a kid. You're on a cruising for a bruising. Like I'm trying to tell you. You know what I mean? I'm trying to tell you, Brother Pitney, in my humble opinion, the government needs to stay out of marriage entirely. They seem to ruin everything they touch. Facts, bro. Facts. You know, like, hey, talk to God. Glad to hear that. I mean, don't. You know, I don't wear religion on my sleeves, but it was appropriate for what we're talking about. You know what I mean? And I think people should, you know what I mean? People should, whoever they need to talk to, be it God, be it Allah, be it Yahweh, be it, you know, be it the great tree, whoever it is they talk to, whatever religion it is, they all tend to, you know, flow from the same source, in my opinion. Even the Hindu stuff, if you get into the Hindu stuff, and I know they got some stuff out there that may seem like crazy to us, but when you really break it down, it all seems to flow from the same source when it comes down to how you should be living, what type of person you should be. So that's where I am with it. And one day we'll do a show. We'll do a show when I talk more religious stuff. But look at this. Men in California through the course get their kids 30% of the time or less, right? In New York, 23%, Washington, 24, Oklahoma, 22, Tennessee, 22. That all these numbers should be 50. These numbers should be 50. The court default should be is 50-50, unless there's some sort of security concerns or something like that. Or one parent chooses, they opt out of the 50%. If a parent says, I can't handle it, or I work too much, or they come up with any reason, then okay, fine. Then you can revert back to this where you get 30% or less. But the default should be 50%. So if you're a man or a woman and you're in family court, like they're doing in Tennessee right now, if you're not married, the first thing they're going to require that you do is get a DNA test to establish parentage. I'm going to do a DNA test, find out who the daddy really is. This is the father. You say it's the father, fine. I'm going to do a DNA test. Done. And the second thing should be it's 50-50 default, like they're talking about doing down here in Florida. I got to research that. I didn't know that was the thing. It should be 50-50. The judge can't do anything about it. They must offer both parents equal access to the child. I think that's a great thing. And in lieu of what Brother Pitney is saying, if the government is going to be involved, this should be a must. If the government's going to be involved, the government's going to say, okay, fine, it's 50-50 custody. Done. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. One of those parents who's standing there before the judge is going to have to say, I don't want that. That should be the law. 50-50 custody. Right? So I'm with you on that. You know what I mean? And then Miss AK, like, she's like, nope, I heard it. Cue shouting music. Yeah, there she is now. But you know, I've been in the church, boy. You know, I done seen the Holy Ghost. I ain't gonna lie to you, man. It's people talking tongues and the Holy Ghost. Yeah, like we're gonna have to do a show. We're gonna have to do a show, sis. And when we do, you're gonna have to come up on that show. We're gonna do a show talking about again, spirituality versus religion. I'm all about being spiritual. I'm not really big on the religion part. Religion is of man. Spirituality, in my opinion, is of God or Allah or Buddha or Yahweh or whoever you want to call them or whatever, of the spirit of the universe. Religion is of man. And if it's of man, it is inherently flawed. Look at what we're talking about with the court system. The family court system is of man, and it is extremely flawed. And men know it. Men and women know it. We know it's flawed, yet we got to fight to fix it. So Florida restructures its default settings. Oh, this is the part I wanted to read. Florida has restructured the default settings for negotiations under the at-will regime. Following Kentucky, A new Florida law assumes that a 50-50 split between spouses is in the best interest of the child. Wow. Though the assumption is rebutable, right? The bill garnered bipartisan support in the legislature on the principles that parents walk into the courtroom on equal footing. Presumably, this will end the silent favoritism judges have traditionally shown women in custodial proceedings. Wow. There it is right there. I did not know this. That is a Don DeMarco if I have ever heard one. So Florida and Kentucky. It's like, all right, boom, it's 50-50. Whoa, this is huge. And this article came out this year. The political wheels are turning a lot faster than I thought they would. This is huge. And this is bipartisan support. If this is happening and as you know, we are ass backwards down here in Florida. If this is happening in Florida, Florida, Kentucky, I guarantee you Texas will follow, the rest of the South will follow. I guarantee you California and New York will jump on this too. I bet you, man. 50-50. They're taking it out of the hands of the judge as they should. And it's like y'all walking in here on equal footing. Damn, that's amazing. That is amazing. I'm definitely gonna keep my eye on this, y'all. That is amazing. And I wonder if Kentucky and Florida are gonna follow suit with Tennessee and do the mandatory DNA testing as well. Now that's for non-married. Like, so if a couple walks in, they've never been married and they have a child, the DNA test is going to be mandatory. And it looks like in Tennessee, it's getting closer and closer to being law in Tennessee. Now, if you're married, it's not mandatory from what I understand, which makes sense to me. But it should always be granted if a request is made, like, hey, can we do a DNA test on this new baby? Just want to be sure. The answer should almost always be yes, in my opinion. Like, yeah, let's go ahead and do it. But do you have any reason as to why, well, we haven't been living together for the past 4 months, or we've been sexless? I don't understand how we're pregnant when we haven't had sex in over 9 months. How is she pregnant now and we ain't had sex in over 2 years or something like that? So yes, I have I have concerns. And the other side might say, well, remember that one time you was drunk and we did? No, I don't remember. Can we just get a DNA test? That's, I can get this, there's going to be wiggle room there if you're married. But if you're not married and you walk into the court, bam, DNA test. That's how it should be. That's how it should be. And Miss AK, like, she's like, I will come up for a religious show if I'm free. All right, cool. We'll work that out. Maybe we'll do that in a couple weeks. We'll definitely do that. And y'all heard what she said. Y'all heard what she said. So she started playing, it don't come up. You know what I'm saying? Y'all gonna have to give her a hard time in the chat. And Brother Penny is saying, if the DNA test reveals the man is not the biological father, he should be free of any and all financial obligations. Yes, I think that's implied, but it has to be in the law. Yes, absolutely, yes. And I think that's how it is now. If you can prove that you're not the father, they won't continue to make you pay child support. Now they won't reimburse you for any child support you may have paid up to that point. They won't reimburse you for court costs. You can ask for it, but I don't think the judge will give it to you in like your lawyer fee and all that. But they won't make you pay moving forward. Brother Penny continues, she's like, Florida ended lifetime alimony and now is going for automatic 50-50 custody. Things are starting to head in the right direction. Yes, for that. For that. But down here in Florida, man, we're going in the wrong direction, a whole bunch of other stuff. But I will say this about Florida and the people who live in Florida, man. When you sit down and talk to folks, and I don't care what side of the spectrum they're on, the left or the right or whatever, Republican, Democrat, common sense rules. Once you get them to come out of their team mindset and just say, hey, man, let's just, like this topic right here, 50-50 should be the default, is absolutely in the best interest of the child. Floridians care about their children. You know what I mean? So once you get that, out of the way, okay, let's just talk about what's best for the children. This is bipartisan. They're like, yeah, man, we gotta do this for the kids. So I will give Floridians that. you see what's going on with the don't say gay stuff and all that. I think Florida takes it to extremes with that. I don't think it's as bad as they make it out to be. You know, DeSantis making laws saying it's illegal for the drag queens to do this, that, and the third. I think he took it a little bit too far, but he nailed this 50-50 thing and the forever alimony thing. He nailed that. Brother Penny continues, DNA testing should be available to married couples on request. Facts. And it should be granted. It should be you know, like in wording in contracts, you have a should and shall, right? Like this should be a shall. You shall be granted DNA test upon request, as opposed to, well, you should be granted a DNA test upon request. No, you shall be granted, and whoever is asking for the test should have to pay for it. And I think that's, you know, fair and equitable. Miss AKA lady, I will make my annual appearance. LOL. Yes, please do. We haven't seen you in a whole year, girl. You know, we miss you over here. I thought you can still be obligated if you signed a birth certificate or was in the child's life for a period. Maybe that's old, but I remember hearing that. No, you're correct. So I was talking about the cases where some, you know, your girlfriend or some girl from your past says you're the father, and they filed this petition and the court brings you in, right? That should be automatic, and that will be, looks like that's going to be the law. You come into there, you got this child support thing or you know, custody and or parentage thing or whatever, this petition. That test should be part of that process. Now, what you're saying is if a guy signs a birth certificate, yeah, he's through. He signs a birth certificate, that's his child legally. There's nothing he can do to get out of that. I don't think you could unparent yourself to a kid, unhook yourself to a kid. So if he signs a birth certificate and it finds out that's not his biological child, it doesn't matter. The way I understand the law, he just, whatever, shouldn't have signed that document. And judges have in the past, at a judge's discretion, will say, well, you've been living with this woman and this child for 3 years. You're the only parent this child has ever known. Now, mind you, the guy thought it was his baby. Comes to find out it's not his baby. You're the only child, the only father this child has ever known. The judge can still order you to pay support. I think that should change. And that's going to be one of those things they're going to have to continue to fight. But it's like, no, I'm not going to pay for a child that's not my child. But again, it gets into that, what's in the child's best interest. It's not the child's fault that mom lied. Well, like, okay, we'll lock mom up then. If I got to take care of this child, lock her up for lying or pay me back. You know, now you get into this whole nother thing. But you're right about that. And I've seen that. I've seen cases where a judge will still order you to pay child support to a child that's not yours. And normally that happens with people who are living together. So again, guys, you gotta be careful, man. You gotta be careful, bro. You gotta watch how you move, you know. And these guys wind up in the manosphere. They wind up tumbling down this rabbit hole, and then like, we hate all women. Like, nah, man, just hate the woman you got trapped by. She won the game. she famoosed you. You know what I mean? You supposed to finesse her, but instead she famoosed you. You know what I mean? Shout out to Andrew Tate with the famoose. But you're right. Be careful what you sign out there, people. Let's continue with the article. Kentucky passed a similar law in 2017 with overwhelming bipartisan support, as did Arkansas in 2021. Kentucky and Arkansas have the highest divorce rates among women in the country. 50-50 custody law may encourage women to have sobering second thoughts about divorce. Right, because and the thing is this, man, like people for so long have been like, whatever, you know, it's not a thing. They're not doing it just for the money. It's not just for the money. They're doing it because they can. You know, obviously the child is here. It is what it is. Obviously they want to move on. They're unhappy with this guy that they're married to or with. So they go in looking to separate the grown-up relationship. And it's like, well, I know the father's only going to get 30% or less, and child support is based on how much time you spend with the child. So I'm going to max out on how much money I'm going to get. Again, we monetize children. There's no getting around that. In America, we monetize our children, and that's plain evil. There's no way to get around that. I don't care if you a raging Republican or the lefty of liberals, right? The most lefty of liberals. There's no getting around that fact. We monetize children in the family court system. to the detriment of children. So they're starting to see it. It took them a while, but they're starting to see it right now. You know, you look at Kentucky, Arkansas, Florida, Texas. You know, look where it's starting. It's starting in the conservative South. Think about that. It's starting there, and it's going to branch out to the liberal coast. And it makes sense. And trust me, there's plenty of people who they want to make these changes. They definitely want to make these changes. And women might have a second thought about divorce. Like, well, I'm going to get divorced, but I'm not going to get any real incentive from it. I still might get a house out of it. I might get half the stuff, which, okay, you're entitled to, depending on how long you've been married. But I'm not going to get extra money in the form of child support, right? Because it's going to be 50-50. The child support is going to be zero or very, very minimum. And I'm not going to get alimony, especially like that golden forever alimony that they had down here in Florida. So maybe that will, okay, it's not that bad. Maybe I can, I can hang out. He's a good man. He pedestalizes me. He's not a bad dude. Maybe I can work on a relationship. Maybe he's gotten big and she's still sexy and shape. Maybe I could get him to go to the gym. I could certainly start cooking him healthy meals so he can lose some of that weight. Maybe I can get him to bounce up and down in the bedroom, get cardio that way. But right now, it's like there's no incentive to stay because they were making out like bandits. So I like this. I like this a lot. Perhaps these laws are having such an effect, the number of court filings for divorce proceedings in Kentucky plummeted from 22,512 in 2016 to under 20,000 only a year later. So you're looking at it right now, like it seems to be like making women think. And why do we say women? Because we know that 70 to 80% of the time women file for divorce. That's why I keep saying women. I'm not beating up on women. I'm just parroting the stats that we're already given. All right. So it also coincided with the decreases in number of domestic violence filings, perhaps indicating that some charges of domestic violence were designed to tip the scales in custody proceedings. Wow. Kentucky's divorce rate also sunk from 3.79 per thousand residents in 2016 to 3.3 in 2021, the last year for which we have good statistics. Divorce rates are declining nationwide, so Kentucky's 50-50 law may not be responsible for the entire decline. Statistics about the percentage of women who file for divorce in Kentucky are not available. So I like the way that they're pointing this stuff out. Like they were already seeing these trends, so they can't point to this and like, well, this is why we had this increase here, or this is why we had a decrease there. They're just saying, hey, this kind of stuff kind of coincided together, but things seem to be going the right direction. If you ask me, it seems to be going the right direction. So let's see what's going on in Florida. Florida's new alimony law changes incentives as well. Florida spousal support laws have been Florida spousal support laws have long been based on a formula linking alimony amounts to the length of marriage, culminating in eligibility for permanent alimony for marriages lasting longer than 17 years. Under the new law, couples married less than 3 years are not eligible for alimony, while those married 20 years or longer are eligible to receive payments for up to 75% of the term of the marriage. Marriages lasting from 3 to 10 years are eligible for alimony for 50% of the term, while those lasting 10 to 20 years are eligible for 60% of that term. Generally, there are fewer payments for shorter periods of time. Under the new law, there are also more ways of ending alimony payments early, including factoring in the retirement of the of the person paying the alimony. Again, common sense laws. Like all this stuff is just common sense stuff. Which, again, I'm shocked that that's what happened in Florida. I think it was great. Right? I think it was great. You know what I mean? It's absolutely great. Generally, marriage is vastly more unstable under the no-fault at-will divorce regime. right? So they're basically saying that generally marriage is vastly more unstable under the no fault at will divorce regime. Um, Challenging the entire no fault regime may backfire under current conditions, but changing the default settings for divorce proceedings may promote more marital stability. At the very least, setting default positions on child custody and spousal support or alimony, as Florida does in its new laws, increases the predictability in divorce proceedings. Increasing predictability will lessen the benefits that women have been getting from divorce judgments under objective standards like best interest of the child. If women are likely, correction, if women are less likely to gain benefits from a divorce, they may file for divorce less frequently than before. Right? So there you have it. There you have it right there. The whole no fault thing and the way judges were awarding alimony, child support, custody, and stuff like that have benefited women, you know, to a degree where people finally have taken notice. And it's not just, I mean, just all Americans have taken notice. And this is wrong. And like I said, the biggest problem is that this hurts children. That's the biggest problem. It hurts kids. It hurts kids. So I think it's great that Kentucky and Florida and Arkansas and looks like Texas and some other states are mandating that judges award 50-50 custody to, you know, to mom and dad as a default. I think that's amazing. And it's definitely best for the children. Again, we're not talking about those cases where the children or the child might be at risk by one parent or the other. We're just talking about in a normal situation. Parents walk into the family court on equal footing. That's how it should be. That's how it should be. And they should be offered 50-50 custody. It should be a 50-50 split unless one parent says that they can't handle it. And if that's the case, then we default to what we have now. Okay, then that parent could get 30% or less. And then they can pay the other parent the additional support that they're going to need because they have the child that much more. Right? But if it's 50-50, I don't even think there should be any child support, to be honest with you. There shouldn't be any child support. You have our child when you have our child, and I have our child when I have our child. It's definitely different for people who were divorced and not working. You have one spouse not working at home, stay at home, mom or dad or whatever. I get that. But generally speaking, both parents are working already. You know, if there's some child support involved, you know, it should be maybe some startup funds to help, you know, get established. Okay, we're coming out of the house, so I'm going to need some extra money to get this apartment and utilities set up or whatever. I get that. But as far as child support goes, you're responsible financially when our child is with you. And then I'm responsible financially when our child is with me. And then we both contribute to medical, and it is what it is. That's how it should be. The child's covered on both of our insurances or whatever. And boom, done. That's how it should be. It just makes sense. Ain't just no nonsense, common sense. This is how we gonna do it. And it looks like states are starting to come to that. So we've come from 1970, Ronald Reagan's no fault initiative, which just set off, you know, decades and decades of problems, to now they're going to go back and fix that. Not only are we going to remove no fault, but you're going to have to show cause for your divorce, but we're not going to reward you for divorcing, and we're not going to punish the child and take a parent away. It's going to be 50-50. That is amazing. That is amazing. That is, I mean, just absolutely amazing. So I like that. Yeah, man. So we're gonna leave it there. The end of no fault divorce. I hope that's the case. I hope it is coming to an end. I really do. I am really excited of this 50-50 split. I really am. You know, it should be that way. You know, I'm gonna definitely continue to follow this. Like I'm gonna see how this goes. But this will be making national news. The problem with like this sort of stuff making national news, they'll cover it, but it's you get a senator getting arrested for taking bribes. You'll get a former president getting indicted. You'll have like the son of the current president getting indicted. So it's always other news that's going to drown out that sort of stuff. But this is major stuff, right? And this is why it's important that you get out there and vote. You need to vote for people who will go out there and take care of America's business. This is America's business. There's nothing more important than family in this country. Nothing more important than our children, right? So this is a good start. We still got education we got to deal with, right? We still got to deal with, giving children the right to legally do things to their body. Like we got to talk about that. Like that's outrageous. Like once you hit 18, fine. But if you're younger than 18, you should not be allowed to go make drastic changes to your body on your own. If that's the case. And the way I understand it, that's very, 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 it's like 1% of kids out there doing that. But there's more stuff we got to talk about. Education being the top one. Do yourself a favor. Ask a 15 or 16-year-old to name 3 countries on planet Earth and see what happens. Ask them to name 3 states. Ask them to name 5 cities in America and watch what happens. Our educational system is broken. And then we also have the thing with law enforcement. So we got so many other things to fix, but this is a huge win. This is a huge win. This is a win for children and for families. 50-50 split when it comes to custody as a default. Man, that is amazing, amazing, amazing. Shout out to Florida, Texas, Arkansas, Kentucky for doing the work. Shout out to them. So, yeah, man, I hope you guys enjoyed that. I hope you guys enjoyed it because I enjoyed bringing it to you. I know that, we really like to talk about other stuff over here, like the 304s and the OF people and what's going on with the bottom 80 and the top 20 and all that. But every now and then we got to do a show like this to kind of see what's going on in the legal system, which affects all of us. It affects all of us. We got to figure this out. This is something this is such a good thing. This is such a good thing. People should not be rewarded for breaking the contract, for breaking their oath, and breaking up families. People should not be awarded for that. You should not get paid. You shouldn't get houses. You shouldn't get child support and with these crazy amounts to keep your children away from the other parent. This shouldn't be a thing. I'm so glad that that they're working on this. So glad. I'm gonna do some more research and see what it do. Thanks to everybody who was here checking us out. I appreciate you rocking with me. Brother Penny, Miss AKA Lady, Brother Doug was in here for a hot second. Brother Dino was up in here. I appreciate y'all for really rocking out with me, man. It just, man, I love it. How come? I can't believe, Penny, you're not a moderator, bro. How come you don't have I don't know why you didn't have a wrench. There you go. Now we took care of that. Appreciate that. Dr. B, Scam Likely was in the building, man. I appreciate y'all, Brother Jack. My Knights were in the building, man. I appreciate y'all coming out, checking it out. But yeah, check out Team Replay. All of the articles will be linked below. If you guys want to go read those articles for yourself and go hit those other links that shows you all the stats that are out there. The IFS has. They has a bunch of good stats out there, so you can look at this stuff yourself. And I think this is a net good. I think this is a great thing for America. It's a great thing for Americans. And I guarantee you children are going to be more happy because they're going to have mom and dad still in their life equally, which is what we need. So y'all know what it is, man. It's time to get up out of here. Oh, Suzette came through. What's good, sis? I was just about to sign off and you popped in. What's good, sis? Good to see you. Oh, man, let me go up to my comments. So, yeah, Suzette, we were talking about the changes in Florida law, Tennessee, Florida, Texas, Kentucky, some different laws. It looks like there's going to be a default. There's a default law here in Florida now. When you go in for child custody, there's a default 50-50 custody split right off the rip. No, it ain't in the child's best interest stuff. It's gone. 50-50 default. That's what it looks like. So definitely catch it on Team Replay. Let me know what you think. And everybody, Suzette Speaks is on Roland Martin's platform doing great work. We got to give her a Don DeMarco because this sister is out there hustling. She is hustling. So she's doing great work over there. I'm so proud. See my sister out there just doing it. It's just a matter of time before she'll be mainstream, y'all. She'll be on that red carpet in no time. You know what I mean? So like, Sue, don't forget your homeboy. Don't forget me. Don't forget me when you're on the red carpet. If you forget me, I'm gonna go on that red carpet. I'm gonna do something stupid. You're gonna have to say, yeah, I know him. I'm gonna be out there pop locking or something. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? So, but yeah, sis, I'm definitely keeping my eye on you. Yeah, I try to get on as much as I can and comment and do all that good stuff, but I'm always telling people to get over there and check you out. Everybody who's watching this now is already subscribed to your channel, but please go over check out Suzette Speaks. I know she hasn't been doing a whole lot with her platform, but she's doing other things. So she's broadcasting, like she's doing the Simo streams on her platform. So go over there and watch, you know, on her platform. You can watch when she's on Roland Martin, you know what I mean, bringing the grace to that platform. Cause you know, I ain't really big on Roland Martin. I ain't gonna lie, but because Suzette's over there, I gotta watch. So I was like, all right, that's my people. So I'm gonna do it. Definitely check us out on Team Replay. And I definitely appreciate you, sis. I really do. And I want to hit you up too, because I want to bring you over here when you get some time. I know you're busy, probably be next year sometime, maybe Q1, because I know you're real busy. But I would love to get you over here. And I wanted to talk about changes to the family law system. Kind of want to like maybe do a recap of this show and talk about the kind of changes. And, you know, maybe you could tell me, you know, if my thoughts are crazy thoughts and they're out there, or maybe you would agree with some of my thoughts. You know, I want to definitely talk about it. One of the things I want to talk about is, and I'm just going to say this and I'm going to close out. But one of the things I want to talk about is how women can have a baby and then decide, you know what, this is too much for me. I don't want to be mom anymore. Give the child up for adoption or just drop the child off at the police station or fire department or something like that, which is fine. I'm cool with that. But she doesn't have to be financially forced to be responsible for the child after she gives the child up. Whereas men don't have that option. So I would love to have that conversation with you, sis. You know what I mean? I would love to have that conversation with you. I'll hit you up on you know, find out if you'd be cool with something like that. I think it'll be a really good conversation. So yeah, but last thing I want to say before I get out of here, make sure you guys are liking and subscribing on Suzette Speaks. All right, YouTube channel, Suzette Speaks. Make sure y'all over there liking and subscribing. Also like over here too. Like over here too. Subscribe, share, send the stuff out. Like Suzette has some really good stuff that she's doing right now. And I'm always like clicking and sending this stuff out to people. It helps with the algorithm. So please go over there and let's get Suzette her own show over there with you know, Roland Martin and all them. Like I said, I ain't even crazy about Roland Martin, but if they got Suzette Speaks over there, I'm gonna rock with them. I'm gonna rock with them till the wheels come off. So that's how we gonna do it. So thanks for popping in, sis. I really appreciate you. I'll be talking to you later. Thanks to everyone who came in and was able to check this out. If you didn't see it, watch Team Replay. And I really think this was a good show. Very informative. I did not know that Ronald Reagan was the governor who started all this no-fault divorce. I didn't know that. I learned that. So I hope you guys learned something as well. I'm DL saying this is DL saying I really want to know podcast. I'm gonna holler at y'all later. Peace.
Nothing like I've ever seen. It's just a thing of beauty.
Darn, that's the end.